Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Could we have this fan off? Because always it's going to go to my voice. I used to sing, but I lost my voice a long time ago, and I never really found it again. So, as you were saying, it was 50 years ago, by the measurement of this planet. 50 years is different in different planets. That's stated in the Puranas. 50 years of Lord Brahma is more than we can even imagine. That's somewhat supported by relativity theory. Anyway, about 50 years ago, I was fortunate enough to join this Krishna consciousness movement brought to the Western world by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The movement then was different in many ways to what it is now. So much has changed in the world in 50 years. This Gulf area has changed. Even this very area we're sitting in here now, even 15 years ago, there was just sand. Things are changing. That's the nature of this world. Gachatiti Jagat. That's the very definition of Jagat. That which is always moving. Always moving. And movement means change. And in Kali Yuga, change means things are getting worse. What's that verse? Do you know that verse in 12th canto of Bhagavatam? How's that verse? Rishikesh knows. I'm good at forgetting verses. I learn verses and I forget them. Tatas chanu dinam dharma satyam sochang shamadaya kalena balina rajan nangshantyayur balang smritihi. With every single day of Kali Yuga, all good qualities are decreasing. All that's good is decreasing. 50 years ago there weren't portable phones and you didn't have to ask people to put them down and try and listen. So dharma is decreasing day by day. Truthfulness is decreasing day by day. Cleanliness and purity is decreasing day by day. The quality of tolerance is decreasing day by day. And mercy is decreasing. And physical strength is decreasing, and mental strength, ability to remember. So all these things are decreasing. The world has changed so much and is changing faster and faster. But coming to Krishna consciousness, we are looking to come in contact with that which is eternal and unchanging. We just celebrated Sri Krishna Janmashtami, which itself is paradoxical, inasmuch as the unborn is born. And Krishna explains in Bhagavad-gita that we are all unborn. We only appear to, we seem to take birth. But we're very convinced, whatever body we have, we're very convinced that this body is me. Krishna's being unborn is different to our being unborn, inasmuch as we get bodies. We are eternal spiritual beings, but we are covered by bodies made of flesh and blood, and we identify with that body. But Krishna eternally appears in his unchanging Satchidananda Vigraha, his eternal form of bliss and knowledge, eternal, blissful, full of knowledge. Now that also may seem to say, well, that doesn't make sense because Krishna is born and he grows up. Yes, Krishna's baby form is eternal, his childhood form is eternal, and his youthful form is eternal, and he doesn't grow old. There are many mysteries about Krishna, mysteries from our perspective, being very small living beings. So 50 years, that seems like a long time. May seem like a long time. When 5 years old, you can hardly imagine. I remember being about 5 years old and I couldn't imagine what it was like to be 10, because there's such a big change physically, and it just, how can you live so long to be 10? And of course, I got past that. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that we'll even live for a second more. But I was just thinking, in 50 years, what have I learned? What have I made any spiritual progress? And there should be something there. There should be something. Some mercy is there. But one thing, which is a very beginning stage, but it is an entrance into spiritual, or it can be the entrance into spiritual life, is to always think, as Chanakya reminds us, smaran nityam anitatvam. You always remember that everything in this world is temporary, which is not considered by almost everyone, even if they superficially believe in reincarnation. Most of you are from a Hindu background and you believe in reincarnation. Why do you believe in reincarnation? Because you're from a Hindu background. You didn't think about it. What are the implications of it? But if we think of the implications, we should take it very seriously, because in just a short time, we're going to have to change bodies again. Short time. Yeah, it's short for everyone. If you live to be 100 years old, then you lived a short life. If you live to be 1,000 years old, you lived a short life. It's all short. Everything is short. In terms of Mahavishnu's existence, he's beyond time, but just his breathing spell, all the universes come out and they go back in again, so everything is short. So it's good to remember that this body, which we identify with, is going to end up as something rotting in the ground, or may be preserved, mummified, but it won't last forever. Or if it's in the ground, then it'll be eaten up by some worms, or if it may be burned, or if you're from a Parsi background, then it turns into vulture stool. It's a natural processing method, environmentally friendly, transforms the body into recyclable manure. What else can happen to it? Well, it can be dismembered. If someone's feeling particularly spiteful, they may cut your body and throw it up into different pieces and throw it here and there. It doesn't happen very often, but it's not unheard of. But anyway, whatever happens to the body, it's not very pretty. That is a beginning meditation for those who want to enter the path of eternity. Some years ago, this must have been maybe 40 years ago, I visited a Thai in Thailand, something like an educational exhibition, which they had. Not the government-sponsored monks. These were rebel monks. They wanted to have real Buddhism, not the formality Buddhism. So there's no space for everyone. All the old people have come. Maybe they'll run away when I tell them very soon, your body is going to be ashes. Probably, if you're from a Hindu background. But it's true of the young children also. Even if you do live a long life, it's all happening soon. I mean, it's miserable, huh? Talking all these things. They don't come to listen to all these things. It's miserable. Look at him. He's got all white hair on his face and white hair on his head. There's a sign, right? It's all going to be finished soon. Anyway, in this rebel Buddhist monastery where they wanted to actually wake people up to Buddhism, you walk into one room and there's a photo of a very beautiful young woman. And what would you expect in a Thai? I mean, not vulgarly dressed in traditional Thai style, which maybe in the country they still wear that now. I mean, sarong and modestly dressed. And you notice a smell, and when you turn the corner, you find inside a glass case the body of an old, died when old, Thai woman. It smells a bit, and somehow they have it, so you can see the beautiful young girl becomes the decidedly dead and smelling old woman. But it's all dried up, so somehow or other it's not, I don't know how they do it, but anyway, they make the point. That which you are lusting after now, this is the fate. Beautiful women. How many beautiful women are there in the world? Well, I guess, what does it mean? What's the definition of beauty? Another striking thing, Tribhuvanath Prabhu is one of the famous devotees in ISKCON. You looking over there? Someone knows him? No, the younger people wouldn't know him. He was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He was one of those few devotees who, with no institutional position, nevertheless made a big mark on many people's lives because he was very special in so many ways. So one time he showed me, I told this story just recently, where? In Georgia, I think. Georgia in Europe. There are two Georgias. One's in America. I came from Georgia to Georgia. I was in Georgia in America, and then shortly after I was Georgia in Europe. Anyway, so he showed me a photo. I asked, how many of you have heard of Brigitte Bardot? How many of you have heard of Brigitte Bardot? You're from Europe. Somehow in Georgia, a lot of people, they're mostly Russian devotees. Not in Georgia in general, but at the festival I was at just now. And I was surprised that most of them say, yeah, we heard, yeah. She was, I think she's still alive. She's a very beautiful French film actress. So he showed me in a magazine. There's a photo of her in her prime, when very, very beautiful. And then on the opposite page, there's a picture of her now. And her face had significantly more lines on the face than an average old woman. And although one looks very attractive, the other one doesn't look very attractive. Feeling this to be a bit heavy, are you? Okay, I'll tell a joke, one of my standard jokes. But it's coming to the same thing. Now, if I ask Brigitte Bardot, none of you have heard, but you've all heard of Rekha. See, you've all heard. She's beautiful film actress. T. Abhi beautiful nahi hai. Now she is, I haven't seen any photo, but I can guess, many Rekha all over her face. For those of you who don't understand rekha, rekha means line. So this is the body. It's full of blood. I mean, whether it's young and beautiful or whether it's old and worn out and not very beautiful, we don't see many advertisements with dried up old women on them. We see advertisements, maybe not in this country very much, but we have fresh looking young women. We have, don't go to Italy. They have nude women photos. Hare Krishna. Not a good place for anyone unless you really want to be in Maya. Least of all for women. It's very offensive to women, I would think. So anyway, it's they say as a saying, beauty is skin deep. If you peel off the skin, it's the same, whether it looks nice inside or outside. Whether it looks nice outside or not, inside, it doesn't look beautiful. So it's a good meditation. It's a good thing to think about. Just at the beginning of spiritual life, just like I was saying in the Buddhist monastery, just the idea everything here is temporary, everything which we think is desirable is actually not very desirable, and it's all temporary. That's a beginning by which we can start to think about that which is eternal. That which is eternal is eternally, what is it? It's going to be eternally beautiful and pleasing. So we are worshipping the eternally beautiful and pleasing Krishna, Radha Krishna, Adharang Madhuram, Vadanang Madhuram. Everything about him is sweet and beautiful. Some relief. Yeah, it's relief. It's relief to know that reality is beautiful and eternally beautiful. Adhara, what does that mean? Adhara. Adhara means? Anyone? Ot, yeah, means his lips. Adharam. It's an important word because, well, if we see, it's important in the Vaishnava literature because it's often described Krishna's lips, which are very pleasing to the gopis, and they don't like Krishna's flute because he's robbing them of the nectar which they think is meant for them. Vadanang Madhuram, Krishna's everything. Madhuradi pater akilam madhuram. Everything about him is beautiful. And what we have there in the verse, Vamitam madhuram. What does Vamitam mean? Anyone know? Vami. Blech! Vami. Vomit. How about that? What do you think about that? Krishna's vomit is beautiful. There may be another meaning in Sanskrit. You can look it up right now if you like. But it means even his vomit. Does Krishna vomit? I suppose so. Vallabhacharya made this prayer. He passes stool and urine, that's for sure. We know that. That's right there in the Bhagavatam, isn't it? You have a God who passes stool and urine and doesn't even bother going to the toilet. He just walks in someone's house and poops on the floor. Right? It's right there in the Bhagavatam. We're distributing Srimad Bhagavatam. Little boy Krishna, because previously in the villages, just the kids run around and they don't wear any clothes. They have a little string here and that's it. And they just run around and they poop wherever they want to. Whenever they feel like it. No rules for them. They don't go to LKG. Yesterday someone brought me a child, I think 2 years old or 3 years old. They want to do some, what do they call that? Vidyaramba? 3 years old? You know, send your child at 3 years old? Yeah, just let them play. But where are they going to play in Dubai? There's no place to play. In the village, they just run around. So Krishna goes in, as other children do, and just goes and passes stool in your. Particularly likes to do it in other people's houses. So they have to clean it up. And then when he gets a little older, they wish he was younger because he's not pooping in their house anymore, but he's stealing everything, all the butter and everything, breaking whatever arrangements they make for keeping their butter, which is, after all, their cowherd community, so that's what they have. That's what they deal in, is milk and yogurt and butter and ghee, and Krishna just goes and smashes it all and distributes it to the monkeys, and then he's covered in yogurt and everything, and they come and they say, "Oh, Krishna, you're stealing." I go, "I don't steal your yogurt. I won't steal your yogurt. It's useless." See, even the monkeys won't take it, and they won't take it because he filled them up already. So he's everything about Krishna is sweet. One thing about the spiritual world is it's very different to Dubai. That's for sure. What do you think? Huh? It's very different to Dubai.
We find Dubai very beautiful.
Yeah, I know. You're in Maya. Everything in this world is perverted reflection. Maybe something like Dwarka, but I don't think so, because in Dwarka even I'm talking about Dwarka in the spiritual world. They have these high-rise buildings. What did Srila Prabhupada call it? A pigeonhole. And people live in pigeonholes. They're one stacked up, one on top of the other. They used to do that in. I think that's gone out of fashion in India. They used to do this kabuta. They used to do this. They keep them for racing and everything. And they breed them. They stack them up like this. You used to see that in Goa. They didn't used to do that. They're more practical people. Well, pigeons, yeah, it has its use, sending messages like that. Nowadays you don't need it. Maybe that's why they stopped it. So yeah, it's very different to Dubai. And I didn't prepare any talk here, so it's just randomly coming off my head. But one thing I saw in Bangladesh in the 1980s, before Bangladesh became modern, the whole world has become modern thanks to these phones and everything. Everyone's connected, everyone knows what's going on, but just fields and houses, thatched roofs, houses made of mud, and we come in a village and people would come out to greet us with a kirtan party. I'm just a young kid, little over 20 years old, and they're greeting me like I'm some great saint or something. But I was just thinking that you could practically expect Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan party to come out of the coconut. You see there are some coconut trees in the background, coconut trees, and just the same when Lord Chaitanya was here. So the spiritual world is more like that. When people were hearing about the spiritual world in previous times, it wasn't something, at least in India, it wasn't something very difficult for them to imagine, that Krishna's coming with his cows. And there's Godhuli. What does Godhuli mean? Evening. Why is it called Godhuli? Cows are coming back. So why is it called Godhuli? Dust rises. That's right. The dust rises. It literally means cow dust. Godhuli means cow dust. So when we hear of Krishna coming back from the forest, and we hear there's all dust raised by the hooves of the cows, and people can relate to it because they see it, and if they're part of the cowherd community, they do it themselves every day. And when they come there, then they have to take a bath in the evening because they're covered with Godhuli. So it's something people could relate to, as Krishna's like one of us, except there's a difference. Satchidananda Vigraha. Yeah, it's that traditional life is very conducive for spiritual advancement in as much as birth, death, old age and disease is seen. You don't get flown off to a hospital when you have some chest pain. You're just there. There's no hospital to go to, and you may live or you may die. And if you die, you chant Hare Krishna as you go. People will chant for you. They'll take you. Ram Nam Satya Hai. They'll remember. But not just after. Nowadays, maybe after people die, Ram Nam Satya Hai, they say. But even before, you see, old people, standard thing. They don't get involved in life. They may go on working, milking the cows, working in the fields. When they become more awake, they'll just sit and they'll study Ramayana, they'll chant the holy names. That was the culture. Everywhere there was spiritual culture. Now that's all just trying to keep it alive a little bit. Anyway, what did I learn in 50 years? I'm sure that spiritual life is reality, that's for sure. And that's quite something in the modern age where we're taught from the beginning that we're just a bunch of chemicals. There was a big bang and then it all bubbled up, and what happened after that? Something happened, and then we all evolved into bunches of chemicals, and here we are. There's a bunch of nonsense. Spiritual existence is real. Everyone in Ghana believes in spiritual existence, right? There's some atheists coming up there now too.
There's a lot of religious people. There's a lot of religious people.
A lot of religious people, yeah. Generally in Africa, people are very spiritually minded. And they... yeah, and there's a lot of spirits too, right? Ghosts, spirits, yeah. It's there everywhere actually. It's here too, in this part of the world too, but people just aren't tuned into it. That's also there. Yeah, there's a lot of black magic all over the world also. It's still going on. So that's one major reason why people traditionally in India would chant the holy names of Krishna. It's just one major reason is to keep out bad influences, bad spirits, because it's there. How many are there? There's so many. Every day people are dying, and there are more and more. And just the fact that they're not properly taken care of at death means they're going to be ghosts. Nowadays, someone dies, they put them in the freezer for 3 weeks or so, at least 3 days, and too late. You have to immediately cremate. That's in Hindu culture, immediate cremation. If they die in the day before sunset, they die in the night before sunrise. Nowadays, they put them in a freezer, send them off to India, and all this. But if you don't do it properly, then they're going to remain attached to that body, and they're going to remain. So, and the number, and then in Europe there have been so many wars and so many massacres, and there are just ghosts everywhere, all over the place. Any old building in England, full of ghosts. When we first got, another beautiful subject. When we first got this Bhakti-Vedanta Manor, it was an old age home where people go to die. It took years for the ghosts to go out in the ashram, because we didn't do so much kirtan in the ashram. So it's a normal thing at night that the ghosts would attack and everything. And even Prabhupada, when he was there, he noted. So these things are real. And Krishna is real. Reality is beautiful. In this material world, the beauty is simply an illusion which ties us to this world. Okay, that's something. I'm pretty convinced of all of that, and maybe at some point I may actually develop some love for Krishna, but at this point I'm seeing there's a great need for propagating in this world the fact that spiritual existence is real, reincarnation is a fact, and we should be aware of the consequences of that. That for everything we do, there is a reaction, and we shape our future by our consciousness. Therefore, our consciousness has to be purified from, what is that? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, this material desire, anger, and Krodh also includes a sense of frustration. Always feeling frustrated because my desires are not fulfilled. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, greed. The whole consumer society is based on greed. Buy things you don't need. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, illusion. Mada, pride, foolish pride. And Matsarya, envy. So the whole present-day civilization is simply promoting these qualities, and therefore every day religiousness, truthfulness, cleanliness and purity, tolerance, compassion, physical strength, mental strength, all decreasing. But there's one good quality, and I think many of you know this verse, at least, that for all the ocean of faults that is Kali Yuga, there is one good quality, and it's not phones going off in the middle of a talk. That's part of the problem. Kale dosha nidhe rajan asti hi eko mahan guna kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha parang vrajet. In all this ocean of bad qualities, there is one great good quality, that is by chanting the holy names of Krishna, we can get free from all this nonsense, all this maya, and attain this supreme destination. In this supreme destination, if we're fortunate enough, we can wander in the forest barefoot and have cow dust all over our bodies in association with Krishna. So that we are hoping for. That may be, we don't know. It may take many lifetimes, but we're on the right path, and we're well protected. We have very good guides. And just recently I was in Georgia, in that temple of ISKCON in Tbilisi is the capital. So they have the Vyasa son of Srila Prabhupada, and above him the pictures of Srila Bhaktistan Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Have you all heard the names of Srila Bhaktistan Saraswati, Srila Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur? You all heard the names? We hope so. You've all heard the name of Donald Trump. You've all heard the name of Narendra Modi. You've all heard the name of Albert Einstein. But none of these people can help you spiritually. But seeing Srila Prabhupada sitting there, and then he is taking shelter and mercy from these great acharyas, who are taking it from their acharyas, who are taking it from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. and distributing it all over the world. So, understanding our own insignificance, we take great succor, take great assurance in knowing that we have very good protectors. Hare Krishna. We finished that.